Guten Tag, PXCam20 back in with a brand new video. Sorry for butchering my German. We are here at Nürburgring GP as we are in our Porsche 911 for this amazing week of daily races. Again, this has been my favorite week of daily races I've had in a long time, as we do have Group 2 cars, Group 3, and Group 4 cars. But currently we are going to be racing here at the Nürburgring GP with the Group 3 cars. And again, we decided to pick the mighty Porsche 911 as this is the most overpowered and the most balanced car on Group 3. Actually, I don't want to say overpowered. It's more of just like really balanced, really easy to drive. So it's usually one of the top cars to always pick whenever we are doing races here on group number 3. So feeling very confident with this race. I wasn't able to get the fastest lap. I was able to only get a 157. I know some people are running 156s and 155, but currently when I was doing the recording, I was only able to get it to a 157 and 0.00. So we weren't able to get a really good starting position. But anyways, we're gonna try to see what we can do here. I'm feeling very confident. We have a lot of good drivers ahead of us and behind us, so we're just gonna do everything we can to make some amazing overtakes and stay away from penalties. So before we jump into it, if you guys really enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. Anyways, that's not promoting myself. Let's jump straight into this race. Now, as we jump into our first race, we are starting in 4th place as we're right behind 2 Canadians and an American. Heading to turn number 1, we're going to brake very late, but try to avoid making contact with the cars. But unfortunately, we make a mistake, brake a little too late, and make contact with 3rd place. And you can see it right there already. Not even 1 corner in, we get our 1 second penalty after making contact with the Canadian. And now we are forced into 6th place as we are now heading into turn number 3 and turn number 4. Staying on the inside on turn number 3, we're now getting on the outside as we try to make a cutback on the Porsche, heading off of turn number 4. We're able to do so here as we're now going side by side, heading into turn number 5. Staying on the outside here, we're getting a little bit pushed to the grass, but we're able to hold our position, and the Porsche is able to get his spot as we try to shoot the gap onto the inside. That was basically non-existent. And we have to hold our 6th position now as we're going to head into the penalty zone before heading into Dunlop. So heading to the penalty zone, have to serve our 1 second penalty that, again, I don't think was deserved, but hey, it's whatever. It's a GT Sport penalty system now as we are heading into Dunlop. 5th place goes a little bit wide. Tries to go back into the track, makes contact with the Porsche, but we're starting to get pressure from the inside. We get a little bit of tap right there as we go into the grass, able to hold our position as we head into Schumacher S's, and we're able to hold our 6th place and set our sights back on the 5th place as the car right behind us, I think, got a 2nd penalty after making contact with us. So the penalty working in our favor as the car behind us does get a penalty after making contact with us, and we head into the chicane here in 6th place now as we head into the final corner. That's going to lead us into lap number 2. So heading to the final corner now, just trying to see what's going to happen behind us as the Supra is getting really close to us, but fortunately we're able to get a good corner off, head down the straight, and go down into lap number 2. So going into lap number 2, the Supra's still on our rear bumper, so we're going to shift onto the inside just a little bit. As you can see, he's getting closer and closer to us as he's on the slipstream, trying to make a move onto the inside. We try to brake as late as we can as we are going now side by side into turn number 1. What's going to happen here is we give him space. We go a little bit wide, but right here, again, the penalties just attacks the Supra right here as he gets another half a second penalty, I think, for corner cutting. And that's going to be beneficial towards us as we have to just stay behind him. Once we head into the penalty zone, we're going to get an easy 6th place back. And then again, just focus on 5th and 4th and try to catch up to these guys as we only have about 2.5 laps to try to make up as many positions as we can and make up as much time as we can. So heading to the left-hander now, staying on the back of the Supra. We're staying very careful as we want nothing to do with the rear bumper of any car, especially ahead of us, because if you just make the slightest amount of contact, you just get a 1 second penalty no matter what you do. As you can see, the Supra now has to serve his 1.5 second penalty, has to shift down. We have to go up because of that, and we get an easy 6th place and set our sights now on the R8 and see if we can close the gap to him, make an overtake, and avoid getting any more penalties in this race, as we already had a penalty that screwed us up, and other cars have been getting penalties as well. So very sensitive the penalty is that Polyphony implemented with this new change. Again, I like it. I like the fact that, you know, you have to really be cautious about where you're driving on the track, but the only thing is that when you make a simple mistake and you just make the slightest amount of contact, there is no damage and you don't really spin the car out ahead of you. So I just don't think it shouldn't be that sensitive. I mean, I feel like they're really close to having a really good penalty system, but just maybe, you know, cool it down with the sensitivity. I mean, I can see if the car goes wide and goes off track, then yeah, maybe, you know, then you could put the 1 second penalty on there. But if you just barely make contact with the car ahead of you, I don't think that should be deserved of the 1 second penalty. As you can see, that happened to us in the first lap going into turn number 1. But you can see now going into turn number, well, actually the last corner, going into lap number 4, we got really close to the R8, and luckily we were able to back out before making contact with him, as we're just doing everything we can to avoid him. Going on to the outside here of the R8, we're trying to do really close side-by-side racing to make a little bit of contact with him on the outside. Doesn't really hurt anybody, and we're able to hold our position here and avoid getting a penalty, as I was really scared, sweating bullets that I was going to get a penalty. But luckily we didn't get a penalty, as we go a little bit wide and then go into turn number 3 on the inside of the R8. So going to turn number 3, we're going a little bit close to the inside, as we're kind of pushing the track limits here. Coming out of turn number 5, we're staying right behind the R8 now, as we're heading into turn number 6, braking as late as we can. You can see he gets a little bit loose, so that's going to give us the invitation to try to make a move on to the outside, but we make a little bit of contact with the R8, and I'm just waiting here now, and there it is, guys. Another 1 second penalty. Just chilling there, having a collision with another car for a little bit of a punt. Wasn't even intentional, but we have to serve that 1 second penalty. But since it's the last lap, we're just gonna end the race with the 1 second penalty and hopefully have enough time ahead of 7th place to hold our 6th place off and not lose that many driver points. As you can see, the 5th place driver is just going all over the place. He's running into the dirt, he's running off into the grass, and that's giving us some opportunity to try to catch up to him. But at this point, I do not want to race with him. I don't even want to get close to him, because I just don't want to risk getting another 2nd penalty and then shifting that 1 second penalty to a 2 second penalty. Then we would automatically just lose that 7th place spot. So we're going to do everything we can to just stay right behind the 5th place driver and not get too close to him, but in addition, try to stay ahead of the 7th place driver by at least a second, so that we can hold off our 6th place position. As you can see, the R8 gets very loose coming out of the chicane. So jumping into the final corner now, the leader across our start finish line, and we have 40 seconds now to try to get over the start finish line. And are we gonna be able to hold off our 6th place position? We shift into the inside, and yes, we are. So we got very lucky there that we didn't make any more contact with the R8, as we were very close to getting over, taking away the 6th position from the 7th position guy if we would have slowed down just a little bit more, as we now jump into our 2nd race. So jumping into our 2nd race, we are starting in 6th place for this race, as this was one of the races I had a really bad qualifying starting spot for. So jumping into the race now, we get our 3, 2, 1, and we are a go now, as we are starting right behind I believe it's the Argentinian, heading into turn number 1. So going to turn number 1, we're going to try to do the exact same thing of braking really late, so we avoid getting hit from behind. But in doing so, we brake a little too late, make contact with the 5th place driver, and we accidentally spin ourselves out as we make contact with him, make contact with the wall, and go all the way from 6th place down to 14th place, in the risk of actually getting last place, as the 15th place driver is getting really close to us now, heading into turn number 2. Going into turn number 3, the inside is being occupied by the 15th place drivers. We're going side by side here, but we're going to get the inside going into turn number 4, so hopefully, or turn number 5, so we can hopefully hold our position here. We're able to do so, and now we are back up into 14th place, as we have a long race ahead of us, and we have to just try to catch up to these guys and see how many positions we can make, as we only have 4 laps to do so. So as we jump a little bit more forward into lap number 2 now, we're heading into the Mercedes arena and just staying right behind the 13th place driver. But you can see we go really wide there, as we just have to push it a little bit too much, and we are flirting with disaster as we go a little bit wide, get a half a second penalty, and now we have to serve that when we get into the penalty zone. So as we jump into turn number 6 here, we're actually getting purple, but against the 2nd lap, so I'm pretty sure everybody's getting purple going into the 2nd lap. But we are going into the right-hander, have to serve our penalty, and just, you know, very defeated here, as hopefully we don't get overtaken by the 15th place driver. Luckily, we had a good enough gap from the 15th place driver, and we're able to hold off our 14th place, as we are now trying to catch up to these guys right ahead of us coming out of the final chicane. So jumping to the final corner, that's going to lead us into lap number 3. We're staying right behind the Porsche, as we're just closing the gap ever so slightly, but again, just trying to see if we can get as close as we can to make an overtake. As you can see, there's a car that spun out right ahead of us in turn number 1. Luckily, he ghosted out, so we're able to make an easy overtake on him and capitalize on the mistake. Not sure if he got punted out or if he did the same thing that we did on the first lap. As you can see, there's a car with a penalty, so maybe he got rammed out by the car with the penalty, but Either way, we were able to get an easy overtake on him and go up into 13th place. So going into Nascar, there's another yellow flag, but I think the guy disconnected, just rage quit or something, because we were able to get in 2 positions because of that. As you did see, one car had to service penalty, but we're getting a little bit of a tap from behind, and we are now promoted into 11th places. That actually is the Argentinian, I think, that started in 5th place. So he has basically had Gran Turismo luck from starting in 5th place, going all the way down into 12th place, hanging out with me in the back. And let's see what we can do here now as we head into the left hand, and we brake a little too late, and we make a little bit of contact with the 10th place driver, and of course we get a 1-second penalty, and that is just gonna hurt our result even more, as we're gonna have to serve that on the next lap. And unfortunately, that next lap is the final lap, as we're now heading into turn number 1. Going to turn number 1, the 10th place driver brakes kind of early, and we have to brake really hard to avoid making even more contact with him and risking another 1-second penalty, and just avoiding everything we can here as we go again very wide. But is that going to give us another penalty as we now head into turn number 3? And luckily it looks like it's not going to give us a penalty, so we still have that 1-second penalty. But again, I don't want to overtake the American ahead of us, because I don't even want to try forcing myself into a position where I'm going to get another second penalty. But you can see that we're just getting super close to him every single corner, as he is braking a little bit earlier than we are. So getting very close right there. I got so scared right there, I almost my pants right there, because I almost made contact with him. And we have to serve our penalty here, lose 1 position, and we are demoted all the way down into 12th place. But race is still not over. We still have sight of 11th, 10th, and 9th, so we can maybe get a little bit of positions here and avoid losing a lot of DR as we're coming out down the curve, heading to Schumacher S's. We're going into the left-hander here, trying to see if we can catch up to them. As you can see, 11th place goes into the dirt, kicks up some dirt into the air, and we get into that gravel as we are now catching up closer and closer to the 11th place driver. Going to the left-hander, the 9th place misses his braking point, goes very wide, and the Brazilian is trying to get back onto the racetrack, and he does so as we have to brake early, as we do not want to make contact with the Argentinian right ahead of us. But we are now going to go 3 abreast going into the final chicane now, as we are all going here. The Brazilian goes very wide onto the right-hander. We're able to make an overtake on him, and we're going to see if we can try to make him move on to the inside of the Argentinian, but he is able to defend his position. Going to the final chicane for the final time, heading to the final corner. He gets a little bit loose, and that's inviting us to try to make him move on to the outside or into the inside of wherever we can get some space here, as we are trying to get a cutback going off into the final corner. But unfortunately, we are not going to be able to, as we run a little bit wide coming out of the final turn and finish this race in 11th place, after spinning ourselves out in the very first corner and getting 2 penalties that resulted in 1.5 seconds in our race. So finishing 11th place, not our best result, but again, I couldn't blame anybody but ourselves, because we were the ones that forced to move onto the inside on turn number 1, and we were the ones that got those penalties. It was our doing. So again, it's a very interesting week, and honestly just a really interesting time on Gran Turismo Sport, where you do not want to have really hard racing, because you run the chance of accidentally running to the back of a car, getting a 1-second penalty, and then basically your race is over. And especially if you try to race really hard and you're a really aggressive driver, and you make just the slightest amount of contact with the car ahead of you, it's just going to spell for disaster for the rest of the race. Let me know what you guys are feeling about the penalty. For me, like I said, I think that they almost have it perfected. They just got to kind of cool it with the sensitivity when running into the back bumper of a car. And I think it would be all right for the penalty system right now. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you guys really enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video. It really helps the channel when you guys do so. And if you guys enjoy the content, I hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace out.